everyone, and welcome to the DeHart house. My name is Alicia and I'm your host of this crafty channel here on YouTube. Today is Saturday, March 2nd of 2024, so it's time for a February wrap-up video where I talk about all the things that I was able to make in the month of February. So that's what this video is all about. I'm coming to you from the Pacific Northwest. I live in the greater Seattle area of Washington State, and it's still winter, and Mother Nature is making sure to remind us of that. So it's been quite warm overall. So the trees are budding. The cherry blossoms are blooming. The cherry blossom trees are starting to be in bloom. Tulips and other bulb plants are coming up and flowering. And then all of a sudden we just get some snow. So it's been interesting, but for the most part, I want to get outside and I want to do all of the gardening, but I've been actually really good about holding back and not doing things too early. So yeah, what's been helpful is that most of the sunny, nice days have been during the week when I work, so I just haven't been able to get out in the garden. And then this morning we woke up to snow. It was snowing. The ground is too warm. It melted instantly, so none of it was like sticking. It just looked like wet ground. But it's cold, it's wet. I don't want to go outside. So yeah. Anyway, I have a few things to share with you today, and I actually have some finished objects. So in the month of January, I finished nothing. I was working on actually this cardigan that I'm wearing, so I did finish it. So I want to talk about my cardigan first, but I also finished some other things, so I want to start with things that I finished instead of finishing with things that I finished. So this is the Cappuccino cardigan by Knits by Summer. And this is a paid for pattern, and I purchased it off of Ravelry. I did take a couple of finished object photos, and my husband helped me take photos, and I'll pop those up here on the screen. But basically, I'm adding this nice black cardigan to my wardrobe. Just a nice staple piece, neutral color, goes with pretty much everything I own. And so yeah, it's very warm. I'm not going to keep it on this entire episode because it's actually quite warm in the house. Anyway, so I will stand up and I will show you what it looks like on a moving body instead of just in still pictures. So I did make this. This is out of a worsted weight yarn, and I did have to go down a couple of needle sizes to get close to gauge. But I love the fabric. When I wear this outside and there's a breeze, the breeze does not get through the stitches. So it almost serves as like a jacket in dry weather. I wouldn't want to wear this if it was raining outside, but it has a double knit button band, and that was really fun to do. I like the clean line that it creates on the inside. I don't fault the pattern, I fault myself. My gauge here is not great, so I kept the same needle size for everything because I had already gone down 2 needle sizes and the knitting was very, very tight. So I used the same needle size on the button band, and I probably should have gone down a needle size, and that's my fault. So it's a little wonky, kind of like you can see some of the curling it's doing. But I think what's happening on the bottom is that the ribbing, so there's 1x1 ribbing at the bottom. And I think what's happening is the ribbing is pulling the bottom away. So if I wear it open, it like has this curved effect at the bottom, which at first it really bothered me, but now I think I'm okay with it. I followed the pattern for everything. I didn't modify anything, honestly. I did the number of stitches for the size. I think I did size 4, like the large. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. But you start at the top, and I really like the shoulder, like the back of the shoulder detail. I think it looks really cool, that line. But it's top down, so I was trying it on as I was going. Then you pick up for the sleeves and you knit them down, and I was really afraid of the sleeves being too long, but I followed the pattern and it like hits me just right. It's not too long. I mean, obviously it doesn't stop at my wrist. It does go down my hand, but I like that because the pattern does call for some positive ease. I think like 30 centimeters of positive ease. So I like the a little bit longer sleeve. But yeah, it's really nice. Open V-neck here. Like I said, it works really well to wear outside, almost like a jacket. The buttons, let me unbutton this now. I ordered 2 sets of buttons on Amazon. These are plastic buttons, but they're like this shiny gray black. It goes really well with the yarn color. The other set of buttons I ordered hasn't arrived yet. They're going to be metal with a design on them. And you know what? I think I like the black grayish button to just like blend in with the sweater. I think it actually looks nice, and I'm going to stick with it. And I'll just save those metal buttons for another project later. But yeah, I think I'm probably going to have to adjust these buttons a little bit because like this one, the string is pretty long of how I sewed it on. You can see the space there, which allows for this thick button band to go on there, right? But then the very next one, I didn't leave that space, and it's super tight. So this one doesn't want to stay on here. And then the very bottom button, see that? Like there's too much fabric in between here. So I think the bottom button I need to actually move so I don't get this bump here anymore. So if I move the bottom one, I might have to move the others as well, but basically I don't want to button the bottom one because that looks crappy. But otherwise it hits me at a good spot, kind of, I wouldn't, yeah, maybe like halfway down my butt is where it hits me. So it's past where my jeans are usually right about here, my pants. So there's some space there, and it's just a relaxed, casual, comfortable fit. But it's not the same level of casual as throwing on a hoodie. So I can be like dressy casual. So yeah, I love it. So there's only 2 things I wish I would have done differently. One is the dye lots. So this cuff is a good example. So right here is where I ran out of the first skein of yarn and switched to the second. and then I realized they were from 2 different dye lots, but basically this is from the first ball, and it's clean, it's dark, which I love, and then from the second skein it got a little bit lighter and fuzzier. So I wish I had paid attention to that. But I mean, honestly, it's fine. And then the second thing is the button band. I wish I had gone down a needle size, but I'm not going to rip it out. I'm just going to leave it, and it's just going to be a feature part of the cardigan, and it's not a big deal. I have worn this several times, and I've washed it a couple of times, and you can't really tell. It still looks brand new. The yarn I used was, it's 100% acrylic, Karen 1 pound in the dark gray mix, and it's a beautiful, beautiful dark gray. It's pretty much black, but it's not solid black. It does have a little bit of gray mixed in there, which gives it some definition, and I am a big fan, actually. It was easy to work with. There weren't any knots in the yarn, and it's beautiful. So I ended up using, I have to look at my notes because I can't remember this. I ended up using 1 whole skein, which is 1 pound, right? Plus part of a second skein. I wouldn't say I used half of a second skein. I'd say a little under half. So in total, I use 1,070 yards of yarn for this cardigan. The needle size I use...
Your 30-minute timer on Alicia's show is ringing.
Oh, yes. I need to go tend to my bread in the kitchen.
Show is ringing.
Okay. The bread has been tended to, and I grabbed a cup of coffee. But yeah, so that is my first finished object for the year, and taking out just over 1,000 yards of yarn from my stash is fantastic, and I'm very happy with the result. So I would call it a great success. And then on the same day, I also finished a pair of socks. So, yeah, my sweater was so close to being finished. I think I had like 2 inches left to do on the button band, and so I finished that while we were watching television in the evening. And then when I finish something, I want to ride that high and move into the next project. So I finished the button band, I wove in all the ends, and picked up my hand spun socks, and they were close to being finished as well. So I finished those off. So these are socks I knit for myself, and this is out of hand spun yarn. The fiber is from Wild Wolf Arms, and it's on their panda base. And the colorway didn't have a name, at least I didn't see a name on the packaging, so it's got purples and golds and some blue, and of course a lot of it blended together when spinning it, so it just has this really nice, it kind of looks like watercolor painting to me, and I really like that. So I knit these top down, and I use a German twisted cast on. It's my favorite way to start socks. It has just the perfect amount of stretch, but it's not too loose or frilly, and so that is my absolute favorite. I did 1x1 ribbing on the cuff for 20 rounds, And then I wanted to do plain stockinette stitch because I really wanted to see the yarn come through. So it's just plain stockinette. And I did a heel flap and gusset because I find that that actually fits my foot better than a short row heel. And then just a standard toe. So yeah, they're obviously a pair, like you can tell that the two go together, but they don't exactly match, and I like that. So I think it's neat that the blue section is right around the same place on these. And then it's just a gold and purple blend on the foot. So I still have a lot of this yarn left over, so I think I could get a whole nother pair of socks out of that yarn. And so that's what I plan to do with it, is just actually make another pair just like this one. And then I'd have 4 individual socks that I could kind of mix and match together and wear. So yeah, honestly, I'd either have to make them the same or I'd have to make them very different. Otherwise, if I have 2 pairs of socks in my drawer that are close enough, it'd be easy to get them mixed up. I'll get them mixed up. But anyway, that used up roughly, excuse me, that used up roughly 288 yards out of my stash. So if I keep a running total throughout the year, that means I've now used up 1,358 yards from my stash so far this year. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I did mention top down, but I knit these on US size 1 needles. No, I did not. They were US size 0 needles. And I know that because I did 64 stitches. So 64 stitches, US size 0 needle. I knit these with the 2 16-inch circulars. And I mention that because the next project I'm going to share with you is another pair of socks, but I'm knitting these on double point needles, which is something I have not done in a long while. So these are the, I ordered some double point needles. I had mentioned last time that the first socks I had ever knit, I knit on double point needles. And those socks are still in use. They're still a solid sock and being worn pretty regularly and still holding together. And so I thought, well, maybe the double point needles, there's some benefit to the tensioning that helps make the socks last longer in creating a more like dense fabric. And so I thought, you know what, I'll give it a try. But I had given away all my double point needles. So I ordered some more, and I've gotten into a groove, but I definitely find working with double point needles a little fiddly. And if it's fiddly, I think it's annoying. So it's not my favorite, but I also don't hate it. It's not like it's unworkable. It's just fiddly. That's how I would do it. It's fiddly. And I have to worry about this 5th needle. So I have the stitches on 4 needles. So, you know, and it's evenly distributed. But there's this 5th needle to worry about. So I had brought my knitting on the bus. I rode the bus to work a couple of days, and I didn't take my knitting out because I was like, if I drop this on the bus, like, I'm not going to find this thing. The bus is full of people and it'd be rolling all over and rolling in who knows what. So I just thought, I'm not even going to get my knitting out because I don't want to lose it. So that's kind of sad. But this sock is coming along very nicely, and I will knit the other sock using the same needles. So it's top down. I'm currently in the toe decreases, so this is almost almost a finished sock. These will be for Michael, who is my husband. Let me just tuck this tail in because it's bothering me. So cuff down, and I'm doing 2x2 ribbing. I prefer the 1x1 rib, and he likes the 2x2 rib the best, which also works as a nice easy way to tell our socks apart. So yeah, so I did 2x2 ribbing all down the leg. He prefers his socks to have that tighter fit. It helps them stay up rather than falling down, so that's how I knit them. Heel flap and gusset, and I did this in a solid color. And then keep the 2x2 ribbing going down the top of the foot. And now that I'm in the toe, I stopped doing the ribbing. But yeah, this is out of Patton's Croy sock yarn. The main color with the stripes is called 50s stripes. So I found a bunch of Patton's Croy that was on sale, marked on discount at Hobby Lobby, and they were named after different decades. So I've already used up the 70s stripes, and now I'm knitting the 50s stripes. And then this is also Patton's Croy, but in just the solid natural color. And yeah, it's going pretty well. I thought I wouldn't have enough yarn to do the entire sock, which is why I brought this in for the heel. But actually, no, I probably couldn't have done all of this with one 50-gram ball. So I guess it's good I did that. Whatever. Yeah, so I have another ball of this, which I will use for the second sock. But yeah, this is very, very close to being a finished sock. And some of these stripes, it's hard to see the color on camera especially, but the main color is like this gold color throughout, and then there's like this light salmony pink color, and then there's like this mauvey, I don't know, it's on the pinkish side, it's not really purpley, but almost like a mauve. But it blends in with the gold a lot, so if you look at it from far away, you almost can't even tell. But and then there's this green and blue and white. So yeah, socks and more socks, and I'm pretty excited about that. I love sock knitting. So at the beginning of the year, I made a winter knit list and created a video about it. And if you want to check that out, it's up here on the channel. Basically, I made a list of things that I want to make in the winter season, which is coming to an end here pretty soon. So March 19th is when we will switch over from winter to spring. I think that's right. Yeah, March 19th. Oh my gosh. So it's not that far away. And my cappuccino cardigan, which I talked about at the top of the episode, was on that list. So I have completed one thing off of my winter knit list. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've done this one thing and I have 4 other things on this list. Okay. So one of the smaller things on the list was to create a pair of hand spun socks that are winter themed. And at the point of me making the list, I hadn't completely decided like all the details. So I kept it open as well. My goal is to kind of knit like seasonal socks in their design. So I wanted to spin some of the fiber up in my stash, and it's fiber that I specifically thought would be good for socks because the blend is like 50% wool, 50% acrylic. So that's what I did. I have a finished spin, and so this is out of yarn that I purchased at Joann's. It's K&C Cozy, which is this like super bulky singles yarn that's got a slight twist to it, but when I saw it in the store, it looked like roving to me. So I purchased it on sale, one of every color, with the purpose of spinning it down primarily for socks because it's half wool, half acrylic, and I'm like, this is going to be great. This is out of the, oh my gosh, what is the color? I don't know. It doesn't matter. This is the white with some black and gray flecks in it. And so the idea was that this would be like snow. And then there's also this green color. I think it's called emerald. And so what I'm going to do is knit a pair of socks with the white as the main color. And then I'm going to use the green to do some color work like Christmas trees. So I have a free pattern up on Ravelry, the Tenenbaum stocking. And basically I'm going to take that colorwork motif, and I'm not going to do it over the entire sock like the stocking, although that would look really cool. I'm just going to do a little, like one, maybe two rows, two repeats of the trees around the top of the leg of the sock, and then the rest will just be in the white. So this was a two-part project because I had to spin the yarn first, and now I need to cast on the socks. So yeah, so I used 60 grams for the white and 10 grams for the green. And I put my notebook on the floor. Hang on. The white is 282 yards and the green is 27 yards. So I don't know, the green might be a little bit on the light side, not color wise, but like lengthwise. So I might have to spin a little bit more. I don't really care. That's fine. That'll be easy to do. But I just went with 10 grams thinking that'll probably be enough. But if I need more, I can just grab some more and spin it up, and it's not a big deal. But yeah, so I'm excited. After I finish the double point needle socks, which I'll probably do today while I'm editing this episode, I will cast these on, not with the double points. Sorry. Sorry to you double point needles, but I'm going to cast on with, I'll either do magic loop or two 16-inch circulars. They're just easier to work with. They're easier on my wrists and hands, and I don't have needles poking me, and I'm going to have 2 strands of yarn for part of the project, and I just want to keep it simple. So yeah. So I'm making progress on my winter knit list, but the progress is slow. But I cast on 2 other things from my winter knit list because I was like, boy, I really need to get this thing rolling. So the other thing that I cast on is one of the sweaters. So I put 2 knit sweaters on the list and 1 crochet. I started the knit project, so I still have yet to do the crochet. But the other sweater I put on the list is a pattern that I've had in my library for a really long time, my Ravelry library. It's a free pattern. It's called Driftwood by Isabel Kramer, and I had tried knitting this pattern many moons ago when I was a graduate student, and I didn't know about gauge swatches. So it didn't go well, and I ended up just ripping it off my needles and throwing it away because I couldn't be bothered to rip it out and deal with it. But I'm trying it again, and I have gone down needle sizes, so I'm using US 6 needles, which I know is not what the pattern calls for. But yeah, I am this far. Not that you can really tell what's going on. So it's knit top down. I am trying to stay away from bottom up constructions because I've had such bad luck with figuring out how long to make things when they're bottom up. So here's the open front and open front here. So it's open for a ways, and then eventually it'll join up and I'll knit in the round. It's not a V-neck. These are meant to be like something you button up right here real close together. And yeah, so I'm starting out in just solid white, so more Caron 1 pound, and eventually I will bring in actually more of that dark gray mix, the same color in my cappuccino cardigan. Yep. I will bring that in and do some thin stripes, and then I'll fade into thicker stripes near the bottom. Basically, I was looking through the project photos of other people's work, and I found one that I really loved, and I'm pretty much just copying their striping methods. So this is not my idea. Others did this as well, where they did just a solid color for a while and then striping in the middle and then solid color on the bottom. And I don't know, I just really like that look, and it's going to give me a striped garment to wear. So on my winter knit list, I was trying to go for things with different qualities. So the cappuccino cardigan was giving me the V-neck. The driftwood is going to bring in stripes. My socks, we're going to bring in the hand spun aspect, right? But then I also cast on from my winter knit list the gnome. One moment, I have to tend to my bread again. So I have 2 loaves of bread in the kitchen. One is a sourdough, and one is just a regular yeast kind of loaf. So I am trying to start a sourdough starter again, and so I've got 2 loaves going because I'm not entirely sure the sourdough is going to turn out. So I have the other one going because I know that one will turn out. And so either way, this time will have been used to make bread. I'll either get 1 or 2 loaves out of this time, but yeah, so apologies for the interruptions, but basically I cast on the Snow Matter What gnome, and it's actually got 2 little stuffies in the pattern. So there's the snowman, who's basically a snowman gnome character, and then Mr. Knightley, who looks more like a gnome, to go with him. So I cast on Mr. Knightley, and I've made like smudge progress. So it's not even worth showing you. It's in the other room anyway. But yeah, so basically I said, oh my God, I've only done one thing off of this list out of 5. And so I need to at least make progress on the others, or else I'm going to be really upset with myself. Like, why even put 5 things on the list if you're only going to make one, you know? And the crochet sweater is not, let's just face it, that's not going to get worked on at all in winter because I'm going to be working on the other things. So I have set a goal that I will definitely finish Mr. Knightley before the end of winter. And that should be appropriate because he's got snowflakes embroidered on him, and I'd like to finish that in winter. So I'm definitely going to finish Mr. Knightley, and I want to also finish my winter themed hand-spun socks. So I'm going to, like I said, I will finish the pattern square socks that are on my double point needles while I'm editing this podcast, and I will also cast on my winter themed socks. So that should set me up nicely. In the meantime, I want to continue to make a little bit more progress on the driftwood sweater, but otherwise I don't think that's going to get finished until the spring season, and I'm fine with that. I made this humongous cardigan already. That's another worsted weight sweater project, so I'm just enjoying my projects and really happy that I'm like trying to curate things instead of just knitting things at random, because I'm now to a point with my knitting where I want a specific thing, not just make a shawl, any shawl, because I don't have any, and so a shawl of any kind will be beneficial. But now I'm to the point where I have lots of shawls, for example, of different styles, and so now if I make a new one, I want it to be like a particular kind to fill a role I don't already have filled. So yeah, anyway, so that's what's going on with my knitting and yarn fiber projects. I had talked about ordering new double point needles, but I had also ordered a couple of other things. One of which I already showed you, the Lazy Kate, and I did use my Lazy Kate to ply this yarn. Sorry for the crinkles. Something else to show you. And the Lazy Kate worked really well, so successful purchase. I love it. But I had also ordered some fiber, so I wanted to share that with you. I ordered from Banshee Fiber Art Studio, and I've been eyeing Banshee Fiber Art Studios for a while. They have some really great color combinations and bases, and I don't know, I needed a reason to buy stuff because, you know, my stash is huge. So yeah, anyway, I ordered 2 braids. So this one is superwash merino, 100% superwash merino, and I really like these labels because it not only says the name of her company, but it also says superwash merino, and on the back it says it too, and it says the weight. It's a 4-ounce braid, 2 to 3 inch staple length, 21.5 micron count. I love it. I love it, love it. So yeah, the bright pops of green in here really attracted me, so that's fun. And then this one is on the panda base. So this is panda top. I had actually messaged the owner and said, hey, I'm really looking for some the panda base, because that's what So that's what the hand spun socks I finished are spun out of. And I had made socks for Michael out of Panda Top, and they're holding up really well. So I was like, I really kind of want some for some more socks because that was the last of my Panda. So I ordered a braid of Panda, and this is 60% merino, 10% nylon, 30% bamboo. Again, love the stickers. Says 4-ounce braid, 3 to 4 inch staple, 23 micron. And yeah, it's in this really nice blue to gray gradient. And so this will be another, like, this will become another pair of socks. And probably for Michael because blue is his favorite color. So, but yeah, so I got these two items right here. And I will have to add them over to my fiber shelf. So that's going to count as 8 ounces of fiber coming in. So 8 ounces coming in, and I spun up 70 grams worth. So I've purchased no new yarn. So I have a goal for the year of more out than in. And so I'm keeping track of my totals and doing kind of a stash inventory. And so I've used more yarn than I brought in because I brought in 0. So that's good. But now I've actually brought in more fiber than I've used. So I will have to do some spinning in the future to get more out than in. So in other crafting areas, I've also made some progress, very minimal. But Michael and I play D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, and we meet with friends once a week and have a session. And Michael is the game master, so he runs the game and sets up our scenarios and things. And we've had a lot of fun. Sorry. We've had a lot of fun with creating maps and terrain pieces, and I did a little bit of needle felting to create like polar bears and things for our encounters. And so we decided to purchase a 3D printer so that we could print our own miniature figurines and paint them. So we had tried getting a 3D printer sometime last year, and it was the filament style printer where it I don't know how to describe it. Anyway, long story short, we couldn't get the thing set up. There's like this whole setup process of, you know, you got to make sure it's level, and then getting the right height, and the tip, and how much it's splooging out, and we couldn't get the thing to even print. You do a test print to make sure it works. It comes with like preloaded files, and you can test to make sure the printer is functioning correctly, and we couldn't get it to even print the base of the figurine, let alone the figurine. So we had sent that back and said, oh my god, I guess 3D printing isn't for us because we can't figure out how to even start the thing. Yeah. Well, there's different styles of 3D printers, so Michael kept like doing research and reading things. And so we decided to try a resin 3D printer, and it works like a dream. So much easier to set up and get started. The only downside is it's more chemically than the other ones, so the resin comes in a liquid state and it smells pretty awful and whatever. So it's not like we really want to run it in the house and be breathing those things in. So it's set up in the garage, but it works, and it works pretty amazingly. So Michael has printed quite a few things and has been testing out like sizes and configurations, and oh, it's a lot of fun. So we're having fun with a 3D printer, but then also, it's just printing in the solid color. I painted one of the things that he printed, and I've got like a whole queue of figurines that need to be painted. But I wanted to show you the the one that I did paint. So this is a beholder, and he's a creature with a big eye, and then these tentacles with all these eyes on them. But yeah, so Michael did the 3D printing, and I did the painting. He started painting it, and I finished it. He does not have color vision. Not the same way I have color vision, so. But yeah, so I took I'll put in a video here that I took earlier, some snapshots of it, but yeah, so I had a lot of fun painting this guy, and I do enjoy painting the minis. It's just something that's it takes less time than knitting a sweater, but it still takes more time than you think it's going to take. Like, this took me like 4 hours to paint. Yeah. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you because it's crafty and it's a little different than knitting, and sometimes it's nice to use different muscles and sort of a different design thing. I mean, I can change the colors on this so much faster than in a sweater, because I'd have to start all over with a sweater with brand new yarn. So anyway, I thought I'd share that. I had lots of fun. So other than crafting, I've been sowing seeds for the new growing season. So I sowed cotton and onions, and they have germinated, and they're growing up, my little babies, in the kitchen underneath the grow lights. And let's see what else. I sowed some peas, some snow peas outside, but they haven't germinated yet, and that's totally fine. I'm gonna give them a little bit of time because, like I said, the weather's been mostly warm, but then we get just a day of cold that comes in. But the plan is that those seeds will be my first batch of peas, and then as soon as I see them germinating, I'll give them a little bit of time, and then I'll plant the next set of seeds, and then that way I'm not getting all the peas all at once, but kind of spreading them out a little bit. But it's entirely possible that those seeds never germinate, so I have to keep that in mind. I think they will, but it's possible that they don't. Otherwise, I'm not doing anything else outside except just the usual tending to the compost pile. It's still too cold for pretty much anything to go outside. The tulips and daffodils are putting up leaves. I don't have any flowers yet except the one daffodil up by the house, which is bizarre because it gets no sunlight up there this time of year. But yeah, there's one daffodil up in front of my house. I've dehydrated some garlic and ground it up into garlic powder, and I need to do another round of that. Baking bread. I actually made a pecan pie last week, and I made it without using corn syrup. So I followed a recipe that uses like egg and butter instead of corn syrup, and it was the most delicious pecan pie I've had. So that is now my new pecan pie recipe. Um, yep, gotta mark that one down. I also I've just been trying lots of new recipes in the kitchen, mostly cooking, making different dinners or lunches, and that's been a lot of fun. Uh, Time consuming when you're making a new recipe for the first time, because like I'm not entirely sure like how long this is going to take or what all is involved. But yeah, there has been nothing that has turned out badly, so that's good. Um, yeah, just hanging in there, powering through. I do feel like I'm getting a bit more energy with more sunlight during the daytime, so I've been making use of that time to try new recipes, paint miniatures, knit a sweater, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so that's pretty much it for the month of February. It's been very productive around here and busy at work. So I'm gonna take the rest of this Saturday to just chill out at home. Michael just got home. He went and did the grocery shopping, so I can finish up making the bread and doing a little bit of meal prep. Tomorrow is Emerald City Comic-Con in Seattle, so we're gonna go to that. Well, it's this whole weekend, but we bought tickets for Sunday, so we're gonna go tomorrow, and that'll be fun. That will be my first ever Comic-Con to go to, and we're going with some of our friends that we play D&D with, and it should be a good time. I mean, I don't know what we're going to see and what we're going to do, but it's going to be fun either way. Yeah. Once I start saying a lot, that means I have pretty much nothing else to talk about. So I will see you next time. And until then, I hope that you stay safe, stay healthy, and that you enjoy your crafts, whatever they may be. Bye.